Every single product that crosses a border, everything from a pair of sneakers to a satellite, is defined by this secret code. And if you get it right, global trade just flows. But get it wrong? Oh, it can cost you a fortune. So today, we're going to crack that code. We are revealing the Constitution that governs it all.
All right, let's just dive right in with a real-world example. So you've got this barber set. Inside, there are electric clippers, a plastic comb, and some steel scissors. You've got electronics, plastic, and metal all in one box. So which one is it? How in the world do you decide which single category this thing belongs to for shipping? This is a super common problem, and believe me, getting it wrong can be a very expensive mistake.
Well, the answer is all about something called the Harmonized System, or HS code. Think of it like a universal language for all traded goods. But here's the thing, like with any language, just knowing the vocabulary doesn't make you fluent, right? You need to know the grammar, the rules that hold it all together. And mastering those rules, that's exactly what we're going to do right now.
So this rulebook has a name, the General Rules for the Interpretation, or GRI. And it's no exaggeration to call it the Constitution for product classification. We're talking about a set of just 6 rules, but they are legally binding, everywhere. So let's walk through this, step by step, and you'll see exactly how this incredibly powerful system works.
Okay, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to tackle the classification problem, look at the 6 golden rules, meet the king and the expander, figure out how to break a tie, and then finish the classification. And of course, we'll wrap up with your final takeaway.
All right, let's get right into it. The most important thing to know about these rules, the absolute #1 principle, is that you cannot skip steps. It's not a menu you can pick and choose from. It's a ladder you have to climb one rung at a time.
This is it. This is the absolute core principle. You have to apply these rules in strict order. You start with Rule 1. If it gives you an answer, you are done. You stop. If and only if it doesn't, you move to Rule 2. I can't stress this enough. Applying the rules out of order is the single biggest mistake you can make. It guarantees you will get the wrong classification every single time. So a great way to think about this is like a decision funnel. You drop your product in at the top. The first stop is Rule 1. Does it fit? If yes, great, it pops out the side, classified. If not, then it drops down to the next level, Rule 2. You only, and I mean only, proceed to the next rule if the one right before it doesn't give you a clear, definitive answer. Okay, next up, the king and the expander, Rules 1 and 2. Let's tackle the first 2 gates in our journey. Seriously, these 2 rules handle the vast majority of cases, so getting these right is absolutely critical. So Rule 1 is the king rule for a reason. It is paramount. You start here, and honestly, you often finish here too. The rule is simple. Classification is determined only by the text you see in the 4-digit headings and any related notes. So if a heading says 01.01 live horses, asses, mules, and hinnies, and that's what you have, your work is done. You've found your code. You don't look at any other rules. Period. End of story.
Okay, but what if your product isn't quite so straightforward? That's where Rule 2, the expander rule, comes in. It basically expands the scope of those headings. Let's say you're shipping a bicycle, but it's missing its saddle and tires. Well, does it still have the essential character of a bicycle? Of course it does. So thanks to Rule 2, it gets classified as a complete bicycle anyway.
Now, a really important job of Rule 2, specifically Part B, is to identify conflicts. It's the rule that basically raises a red flag and says, hey, we have a problem here. When you have that chair made of both wood and plastic, could it be a wood chair or a plastic chair? It could be both. Rule 2 flags this conflict and tells you exactly what to do next. Proceed to Rule 3.
Which brings us perfectly to our next section, breaking the tie. This is Rule 3, the judge. So when a product seems to fit in 2 or more places, Rule 3 acts as the judge, giving you a clear 3-step process to make the final call. And guess what? Just like the main GRI rules, you have to follow these sub-rules in strict order too. No skipping. You always try step A first. If that doesn't work, then you move to B, and only if both A and B fail do you even think about looking at C.
So let's look at how cleanly Rule 3A works. It's all about which description is more specific. The most specific one wins. It's that simple. So you have a choice between household electrical appliances and electric shavers, hair clippers.
Well, electric hair clippers is way, way more specific, right? So 85.10 wins. Case closed by Rule 3A.
But what about our barber set? It's got multiple different items. Most specific doesn't really work here. So, since 3A fails, we move on to Rule 3B, essential character. And this is where we ask the big question. What's the point of this product? What's the main event? What component gives this entire set its essential character?
Well, looking at our barber set, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? The electric clippers are the star of the show. They're the most valuable part, they perform the main function. Let's be real, you buy the set for the clippers. The common scissors are just supporting actors. So the clippers give the set its essential character, and that means the entire set gets classified under the clippers heading, 85.10. Problem solved.
Okay, we are in the home stretch now. Let's talk about finishing the classification with rules 4, 5, and 6. These last few rules handle some of the rarer special cases, and more importantly, they help us get all the way to the finish line.
Rule 4 is genuinely the last resort rule. I mean, this is for stuff that is so new, so out there that the people who wrote the codes couldn't have even imagined it. So if you invent, I don't know, a personal teleportation device, yeah, that's not going to be in the book. Rule 4 says you have to classify it under the heading for the product it is most akin to. You find the next best thing, the most similar item that already exists, and you put it there.
Rule 5 is pretty straightforward. It's all about packaging. And the basic idea is the packaging is classified right along with the product inside it. It doesn't matter if it's a fancy, specially shaped guitar case meant for long-term use or just the disposable cardboard box your toy came in. They're both classified with the item. Now, there are exceptions, like if the container itself is meant for repeated use, think a steel gas tank or something. But for the most part, packaging and product are one and the same.
And at last, we get to Rule 6, the finishing rule. Okay, so Rules 1 through 5 got us to the right 4-digit heading. That's the neighborhood. Now Rule 6 is what helps us drill down and find the specific 6-digit subheading, the exact street address. But it comes with one absolutely critical, non-negotiable condition.
And here it is. You have to compare only at the same level. See how the subheadings are indented with those little dashes? The rule is simple, but it's strict. First, you look at all the single dash options and pick the right one. Let's say it's XX.20. Then, and only then, do you look at the double dash options within that single dash group. You can never, ever compare a single dash subheading directly with a double dash one. You have to clear each level of the hierarchy before you can move down to the next.
All right, so that was a lot. Let's boil it all down. What is your final takeaway? What's the one thing you absolutely have to remember from all of this? It's this. You always, always start at Rule 1 and you proceed in order. Rule 1 is king. If it fits, you stop. Rule 3 is your tiebreaker, and you have to follow its ABC steps in order. And Rule 6 demands that you only compare items at the same dash level. This isn't a buffet where you can pick and choose your favorite rule. It's a logical, sequential journey. And that's the whole point of this constitution, to make sure everyone, everywhere on the planet, classifies products in the exact same way. It's what makes global trade predictable and fair.
But you know, for all its logic, this system was built for a 20th century world of tangible goods. And that leaves us with a fascinating question for the future. As technology creates these incredible new products that are part machine, part biologic, and maybe even part service, how will this constitution adapt to classify the unclassifiable? That's a challenge that's only going to get more interesting.